There we go. The Ottawa Charge win their home opener, first win of the 2024-2025 season, and it is a 3-2 regulation win against the Toronto Scepters, bringing the all-time Battle of Ontario 4-2 in our favor, and bringing the Battle of Ontario season series 1-0. I will definitely be tracking this all season, don't you worry. Two quick things before I get into this video. One thing is a change that I haven't talked about yet that I really want to talk about. That is some penalties. They've changed. I like the idea of a penalty for when teams, they we got 6 players out. Oh man, we gotta get ready for the face-off. What do you want? No, and it's basically a free timeout almost. Or at the very least, it's giving the line that should be on a moment to catch their breath. Yeah, penalize that. It is delay of game. In the same way that if you shoot the puck above the boards, even by accident, it delays the game. You get a penalty for that. If you're taking way too long to get the proper lines out there, that should be penalized. And on a lot of other sports, there is a penalty for that. The penalty being either A, you're called for delay of game, or B, you know what? We'll start without you. If you got 3 players out here and you're taking too long, we'll just drop the puck. Now, they won't do that, but they will penalize you. I like that. I think that should be not just a league-wide rule. I think that should be a sport-wide rule. If a team is taking an absurd amount of time, an unreasonable amount of time, I do think the referees should be able to call a penalty, or at the very least be able to tell a player on the ice, look, you figure it out right now or I'm calling this. And that's probably what will end up happening. If there's some confusion, they will say, pick somebody to go on the bench, even if it's not the right person, or I will call this penalty. And if that means that you have 4 forwards on the ice because you guys got confused, yeah, you got 4 forwards on the ice because the team got confused. That is what will happen. And I don't think that this should just be a PWHL thing. I think this is a sports thing. I like it as long as it's called fairly. I haven't seen it get called yet, at least not in an Ottawa game. I don't believe it's been called in the other games. Obviously, if it gets never, ever called and, it just kind of exists as a deterrent that they don't use, well, that's going to be lame. And conversely, if it gets used too much, it'll be sometimes there's mild confusion. If it only eats up 5 seconds, it's fine. But I wanted to mention this because I did see that happen one time this game where there's just a small confusion with, I think it was in the second or third period. We had too many players, just a little confusion of the lines, and we quickly got off. No penalty, no call, no nothing. And I think that's exactly what this is here for. There wasn't an hour-long conversation about, no, you go off, no, you go off, no, you go off, no, you go off. No. It was clean, easy, and simple. Players went off. The game continued. It did not disrupt the flow of the game. And speaking of the flow of the game, nothing is worse than a phantom call. And what's even worse is a phantom call on something that is unintentional and safe. I'm of course talking about lifting the puck over the boards inadvertently. It goes cleanly out, you get penalized. Sometimes it doesn't go cleanly out. It does get tipped. It goes off of someone else, and they don't see it, and they call it, and you're like, what? Huh? Excuse me? No. You can challenge that. And I like this because you would only challenge that if you are certain. Because think about it. Let's just say you lift the puck out, and it gets tipped, and you get penalized. If it's debatable if that puck got tipped, if it's hard to tell, and you challenge it and get it wrong, you have now given up a 5-on-3 for the full 2 minutes. You're done. You will almost certainly get scored on. The only reason you would challenge this is if, A, you are in a situation of, you're down by 1, or, you need a goal, and a penalty will just do you in. You're down by 1. There's 2 minutes left. And you've got a penalty. Yeah, you've got to challenge that because Well, at the end of the day, we need a goal. So, who cares if we got one penalty or two penalties? Doesn't really matter. Or you are certain beyond a reasonable doubt that puck got tipped. Give me my player back. I like both of those rule changes, and I also like the trap. For the forcing players to play. If you take a penalty, your entire line has to stay on. The same rules as icing. I like that. I like it because it will probably have tired players taking the face-off on a penalty kill, which, I mean, your team did take a penalty. Kind of what penalties are for, especially in the PWHL, where they're a little bit more forgiving on penalties with the jailbreak. So I think this kind of evens it up, where it's like, yeah, if you score, this penalty's gone, but good luck scoring. You're all tired and you need to take the face-off. Also, it will allow us to have players who often aren't on the penalty kill to play a little bit of the penalty kill, at least. I like it. I like the idea. And that also means that if it goes to a TV timeout and they catch their breath, but one of the players out there is like, I am an offensive threat. I can't defend. I don't want to be out here on a penalty kill. I want to conserve my energy for a power play or for offensive pressure. Well, too bad. And I like it because it also means that everyone's got to play every little bit of the game. You've got to have the player who you're like, I'm not even going to bother teaching you the penalty kill. Well, yeah, at least got to teach them the face-off. You at least got to teach them the face-off in a penalty kill. What that looks like, what the strategy is. And yes, all the players know it, but, I understand the strategy. Being in that situation is completely different. And I have absolutely zero faith in myself that if I had to take a face-off against any player in the PWHL, NHL, AHL, OHL, any professional hockey league, that I wouldn't do anything but be a pylon. Even if you are great at this sport, having that practice to understand what to do in that situation is so key. It's so vital. And there are only a few players in this league where I would say, even without practice, I just trust them 100%. Emily Clark, is the type of player where I think you can kind of put her in any situation and feel good. Whether or not she practiced the PK this week or not. If she has to take the face-off on the PK, I'm not going to be sweating bullets. But your third line, your fourth line, a bit more uncomfortable. Now let's get into the game. We had a great start out of the gate. We put a lot of pressure on them really early. We were doing a very good job of stopping them defensively. And McMahon starts out the scoring 1-0 charge. Great start. I cannot emphasize how impeccable the start was. We were killing them in pressure, absolutely dominating the shot count. It was all charge. Really good start to the period. The first half of the period, it was us giving heaps of pressure and just looking like the better team. And then we take a penalty. We get the kill, but it was one of those power plays where Toronto got momentum. Toronto was playing really good after that, and another penalty. And late in the period, Toronto ties it 1-1. And bad, costly penalties, as if we learned nothing from last game. We let them right back into it. And yeah, I was like, here we go again. After you take 7 penalties and lose in a shootout, and your opponents score twice on the power play, you would think that in the next game you would play a clean first period and not give up. Not only did we give up 2 penalties, which is bad enough on its own, but we give up a penalty. Toronto gets a ton of momentum as a result, a period that we were dominating, and then we take another penalty. And I'm thinking, here we go. This is going to be another game where we take 5 or 6 penalties. But hold on to your horses. Because that wasn't this game. This game was different. And this was the type of game where I was as confident in the charge as I've ever been. And I'm not saying this, 2 games in, but I'm talking about compared to last season as well. Like, you look at last season, and there were some flaws in our game that got exploited that were costly. And then I look at this game, and I'm like, you know what? This is a game we lose last season. 100%. This is a game we lose last season. This is a game where we do end up taking 5 penalties. This is a game where we don't get clutch goals. This is a game where we do give up something late in the game. And that's not what happened. Another good start to the period in the second. Lots of pressure. There's a bit more back and forth. Like, Toronto is having a bit more momentum in the second, but it's still in our favor. Everything still is feeling more us than them. But Toronto's getting some chances. Neither side has blinked. Our second line, I need to give shout out to. They looked elite. Serdachny and Clark. I still am like, I don't have my new jersey yet. I'm going to get one. Don't worry. Right now, they only have Jenner and Clark. And there are a few players who, like, early on, I was like, oh, who do I want? Jenner and Clark, obviously being on the list. Okay, I'm going to do a quick sidebar. Early in the last season, Adja and Watts were on the list of players who I'm like, oh, I might want to get their jersey. I'm not going to. Adja doesn't play for us anymore. Nor does Watts. Watts was getting booed. And I'm going to have to come out and say this. I am totally fine with that. This is sports. Welcome to sports. We are the Ottawa Charge fans, the best fans in the league, the most rabid, diehard fans in the PWHL. What did you expect? Toronto eliminated us on the final game of the season. We gave them a proper Ottawa welcome. We were booing the life out of them when they came out. You know, there's some barns still where there's just general, like, oh, okay, like, we're happy to just have these teams. No. Us against the world, baby. Go Charge, go. Not go Scepters, go. Not go Victoire or Fleet or Frost or Sirens. Go Charge, go. Ba-da-da-da-da-da! Charge! That's what we chant. We bleed red. Okay? We will boo you, especially if you left us. Adja, it's a different situation. She got traded. I believe deep down in my heart of hearts, if we offered Adja a good, fair contract, especially a contract that was better than what she was apparently being offered by Toronto, we could have had her. She could have stayed in Ottawa. In the first season, she was early on one of my favorite players, and I honestly kind of wanted her to be a lifer. I was so heartbroken when she got traded. It's one of the few times where I will openly say that, like, we're early in this franchise's history, which is why I can say with 100% confidence that is the worst trade in franchise history, bar none. Worst trade. Just awful. And in my opinion, is a big reason why we did not make the playoffs. If she didn't play for Boston, I sincerely believe that Boston would not have gotten the points to catch up with us in the final stretch of the season. I truly believe that. Watts chose to leave. She chose Toronto. And in sports, you get booed for doing that. I will always defend her right to do that. As a free agent, she 100% deserves to go where she wants to go. And if she says, I don't care how much Ottawa offers me, I'm going to Toronto, even if they offer me pennies on the dollar, she has every right to do that. And I have every right to boo her. This is the deal. Because we loved Watts. Like I said, she was one of my favorite players last season. And I know that she chose to leave, that she didn't want to be here. Or at least that there were other places she wanted to be more than here. Yeah, boo. Boo indeed. So for those of you saying don't boo her, no. And another reason for that is, while I get that, like, yes, of course, respect Alberta Curl, but other than that, every player in this league is breaking a barrier that needs to be broken. But at the same time, that comes with the agreement of this isn't going to be like, oh, well, we got to treat everyone with, love. No, this is a sports league, right? Let's be sports fans. And if you follow me on Twitter, at Local Ottawa Fan, you would see that I've booed some players that I like. I like Sidney Crosby. I do. And I've booed him. Marie-Philippe Poulin, just the greatest women's player ever. And Captain Clutch, who has scored multiple gold medal goals. I've booed her. One of my top 5 all-time favorite Ottawa Senators, in Erik Karlsson. Booed him. Yeah, I booed him. Let's see, the quarterback who brought us to the 2018 Grey Cup Finals and was just a solid quarterback through a good chunk of Red Blacks history. In Trevor Harris, booed him. I booed him. Matthew Tkachuk never really played for us, but I like Matthew Tkachuk a lot. I think he's a great player. I think he's a fun player. And I started a Brady's better chant at one of the games when he was in the with the Panthers and he was playing against us. Yeah, I started one. So I guess that counts as booing. Carey Price, elite goaltender, and seems like a stand-up guy who I've booed. And let's see. Okay, they aren't a player, but Rick Campbell, the head coach who literally won us the Grey Cup and ended a 40-year drought. I cheered him. I've cheered him multiple times. And I've booed him. Yeah, bad. BC challenges us. I've booed that. I've booed his decision. Because with the other team now, you're on the other side. Even if we're the ones that kicked you out, this is how fandom works. And I'll always cheer for Ottawa. I'm your local Ottawa fan, not your local Daryl Watts fan. And it's okay to cheer for a player. There's some people that cheer for LeBron. Doesn't matter what team he's playing on. They cheer for LeBron. He's on the Lakers. If he went to the Celtics tomorrow, they'd be Celtics fans. That's okay too. It's okay to be a fan of a player. I'm a Charge fan. If you're a Charge fan and you're keeping it civil, boo to your heart's content. Okay? In this channel, we boo. Because that's what makes sports fun. The rivalry. It's the Scepters. They eliminated us. They're from Toronto. They're a rival team. Battle of Ontario. So yeah, boo. All of this to say, back to my original point, before I get back into the actual game, the jerseys that I want to buy. I said Jenner, Clark, not Watts or Adja. Mrazova, Mashmeyer. But Serdachny? Clark and Serdachny on the same line is so lethal. And Jenner hasn't even played yet, nor has Boyd. We look really good, and 2 of our best players have yet to lace it up this season. I'm liking the looks of that. And we play well. We're getting good chances, more shots. Just need to finish. And that's one thing that I'm going to get into in the third period. But we need to finish. We got a power play. It is electric, pun intended. And much like last year, can't bury the loose puck. When the goalie's sprawling on the ground, we just can't get that extra few inches to make it a goal. Now we still have all the momentum. Really good chances, can't finish. We're playing better. We are outplaying them, but not outscoring. And like clockwork, 2-1 Toronto. And yeah, we go into the third down 1. When we played worse against Montreal, we lost. We're playing better than Toronto. Are we going to lose? That was the charge of last year. That's how we would lose games. We'd lose these close 1-goal games, whether we played better or worse. Another decent start in the third. But now we need a goal. Good amount of time left. We got a power play, about, I think, 15-ish minutes left. And it was pretty blatant. If they missed that call, it would have gone nuclear. There was a missed call in the second. And I think in general with the last game, just the penalty disparity, yeah, it was like, okay, we're going to get some calls too. We got a call. And Jinsey Rose, for the first time in her PWHL career, snipes one 2-all. And like I was saying, we can't bury these chippy plays, scrambles in front of the net, but we can snipe. I've never seen anything like it. It's normally the other way around, where those skilled shots are the ones that don't go in. But, those chippy, garbage goals off of the rebound, that's how teams score. Not us. No, it's got to be the most impressive, skillful goal you've ever seen. And we are playing really well after that. Every one good shift, because Toronto is still playing well, but for every one good shift Toronto has, we got 2 to 3 good ones. We are completely outpacing them. And then Mrazova to Vanisova, 3-2 Ottawa, and I mean it's not over, but it is the winning goal. And again, it is so clean, it is so beautiful, and we win. We keep the foot on the gas, we keep up the pressure. We got a breakaway that beats everything but the post, nearly making it 4-2. And speaking of 4-2, under 2, they pull the goalie. We make a stand. They call a penalty with 4.2 seconds left. Does not matter. Toronto does not have enough time. The game ends. And we win by 1. Which I think is the second time in history. This team doesn't win games by 1. Not from last season. They don't win those close, tight games like this. We outplayed them, and we outscored them. We went into the third, down by 1. We clutched the you-know-what up. Scored 2 beauties, and stoned them. Gave them nothing. Took only 3 penalties, and the last penalty came with 4.2 seconds. It was iffy, but it was nothing. It didn't do anything. Toronto had no time. This is the game that we wanted them to play last season. If this is the game they continue to play, they will be a threat. And I am so looking forward to what they bring to the table when we rock the CTC. This is how they ought to play. I hope this is what continues. And as always, go Ottawa, go!